Alert Nigeria to talk about scoring metrics and the Nigerian application.
The scoring metrics.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so
Wow, you even have music for your presentation.
yeah, right. Well, thank you. Like you said, my name is Rommy. I work with lawyers a lot. It's a human and legal NGO, human rights and legal NGO in Nigeria, and we, of course, are part of the Nigerian response to TB. I have no conflict of interest to report in this presentation. Like Timothy was talking about, I will be concentrating on the scoring metrics of scorecards. Of course, the scorecards, James had talked about its objective and what it entails, and principally, with regard to the scoring metrics, there are rules to that, and the themes of the scoring metrics have been mentioned: availability of substance and freedom from health rights and all of that. So the corporate rules are there. I'm just going to rush through my slides to the place that does matter, because I think Timothy had touched on quite a lot of this. Yeah. So the process for measuring all of the themes, whether it's availability, accessibility, acceptability, and quality, and all other themes, is that it has to be all inclusive. In Nigeria, for instance, the process was that what Lawyers Alert did was to first of all hold a desk review to check on the various sources of information that we have, whether it's the NSP, whether it's the CRG assessments, and all other CLM reports that we have in the country that gives an idea and tries to answer all the questions or tries to investigate the indicators as to the availability or not of all the teams that have been talked about here. And so even after that, you have a focus group discussion where every stakeholder is in the room, including the NTP. And so you go through all the questions in the order of the teams dispassionately, looking for evidence to support or to discountenance what you're looking for. There are three shades to scoring. There is the green shade, there's a red shade, and of course there's the amber shade. Shadings as in colors. So when you look at these shadings, three things you're trying to investigate. One, do those things exist? If it's none, then you score 0, because there are 3 scores. If they do exist but partially, you score 1, and then if they are there in full, then we score 2. So it's 0, 1, 2. That is the way the legal scorecards are scored. All these things you see here on the screen are just the themes, the purpose, and all of that, which Timothy spoke to. That's why I'm trying not to concentrate on this, to make it as painless as possible for all of us. Let's just look at those areas where we haven't really talked about. So there are 8 themes. Like I said, this is the 8th. The 7th is remedies and accountability. Within the processes, you have participation. With regard to services and availability, you have TB, key and vulnerable populations. There are criteria and the purpose for investigating all of this, looking at the policy and legal framework in the country to determine whether it's adequate, halfway, or not there at all. These are the main things. So Nigeria, for example, we did that in Nigeria, and that's what you have on the score chart. With regard to availability, accessibility, acceptability, and quality of services in Nigeria, when we sat down with NTP and all stakeholders and looked at all the indicators and investigated them, we scored Nigeria low at 28.13%. Because if you look at the scoring charts, For each indicator, there's a little mark here and there for it. And at the end of it all, you aggregate and you get this. So the total score for Nigeria, as it were, is 53.13%. That is what it is for Nigeria, which is okay in terms of, is that a pass? Sorry? It has a level of its own. I'm just trying to control it. That notwithstanding, in Nigeria, we got over 50% in terms of where we were. The question now is, when you do that, what next? What is the purpose after scoring? Why do we do this? It gives a very graphic, consistent, and clear picture of the legal and policy framework in a country. It gives a guide as to where the gaps are. And more importantly, it also points to how these gaps can be addressed through advocacy and other issues. So that is what it is. At the end of the day, we believe as the essence to the purpose of this, that if this is well done, it can be consistent and it can help in filling in those gaps that are, that comes up from the scoring matrix. So that is what it were in Nigeria. Advocacy for policy reforms. We look at the issues of strengthening the legal frameworks. In Nigeria, for example, we had a retreat for parliamentarians last week before we came to Indonesia. And this scorecard was, put up for the parliamentarians to look at. And having looked at it, the gaps were very obvious, and they made commitments and pledges to fill in those gaps and strengthen the legal frameworks as it were in the state. Community empowerment also comes in very strongly. Like I said, the scorecard is not something, the scoring is not gotten from the clouds, but the communities sit together along with the NTP and everyone, and then the scoring are done. And through that, there's some sort of empowerment, because you understand the issues, you begin to see where they are. For me personally, one thing that was so strong in Nigeria was the difference between human rights and the legal space. And it's a very thin line. When we talk human rights, it is holistic. We're looking at all the charters, the conventions, and all of that. But when you talk about legal rights, then you're looking at the peculiar framework in that country as to the laws, as it were. This was some sort of empowerment, some sort of capacity for me in understanding that and all of that. So basically, that is how the scorecards are. That's how the scoring of the scorecard goes, and I hope to answer any question if there's any. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Rommy. What I really hope is that in Nigeria, the decision makers and policy makers that you will be working with on the outcomes of the scorecard, they will not be colorblind or not too sophisticated to understand the colors, but then you have the numbers, so they will understand. That's good. So with this.